Before we get started our Sunday school thing, I need to pray at least, but if y'all want to, I'll pray with you. But if before we start, let's get some prayer requests and then see if we can add them in there. Go ahead, Zach. Okay. All right. Yes, sir. Meeting this afternoon. Do what? Awana. Oh, yeah. Yes, ma'am. Jeremiah. Right. Here, anybody? Tom, go ahead. Okay. Is that Josh? Yes, ma'am. Oh, wow. Yeah. Okay. Did they take it out, you know? Okay. All right, Bob, go ahead.
My twin brother's got a big issue coming up this week, and I'd like to really pray for him because the concern is his driving. He had a little incident a couple of weeks ago, but it wasn't his fault. The railroad.
Okay. Go ahead.
Safety for Angela and myself, we're driving back up on Friday.
You driving up on Friday? So I got to do all the work before Friday. Is that what you're saying? I got it. Okay. And over there. All right. Yes, ma'am. Okay. One what? Okay, go ahead. Okay. Okay. That works. Get it. All right. Let's pray together, and then we'll start our Sunday school thing. So let's go ahead and pray. Heavenly Father, I'd like to thank you, Lord, for this opportunity that we have to gather together. Thank you so much for this church that you've allowed us, and all the many things you continue to do for us, and all the many ways that you bless us. Lord, help us to always be grateful and thankful for all the things and not take anything for granted. And then, Lord, we had a couple prayer requests today, specifically for Robert's brother. He's got driving issues there. If you would, just be with him. For safety for my mom and whatever, I can't remember the praise, but you know what it was. It doesn't matter, but thank you, Lord, that they can actually sit there and praise and pray. What a blessing that is, Lord. No matter the age, we can always pray. We can always praise you no matter what our age is. Lord, if you would, with Drew's mom there with the appendix issues, you got her appendix taken out, just take her, keep her, Lord, safe and secure. Watch over during this time, comfort the family as all these issues are going on. For Josh Wainwright and his salvation, others have asked for salvation too, and salvation is the most important thing that we can possibly pray for, Lord. If you would, just convict the hearts of those that are around and bring them to you. For the USA too, Lord, if you be with them. For Crystal's brother Jeremiah and her daughter Princess, and unspoken requests beyond hers, unspoken. There's plenty of other unspoken that are in here. Lord, if you would, just be with all of them. Then if we would, Lord, as we go forward today, let it be pleasing to you. Let it be something that honors you and you alone. I ask it in Jesus' perfect name. Amen. All right. Let's see. we are on our Sunday school, and this is what I like to start. Yeah, not bad. Every Sunday school, I like to start with this verse right here. But sanctify, Lord God, in your heart, be ready always to give an answer to any man that asks you the reason, the hope that is in you, with meekness and fear. This is from 1 Peter 3:15. Yeah, that's what I like to do. All right. So anyway, we're going to start our next Sunday school thing, and it's going to be on, guess what? Creation. Isn't everybody excited? Creation is my thing, man. I love creation. Anyhow, that's what we're going to be talking about is creation for a little while. We may advance from there. This is the creature we're going to be talking about. Eli, don't answer. Does anybody know what this is? And don't say snake. Serpent. Well done. I actually was waiting on that too. It is an animal. Very good. Go ahead, Eli. What is that?
Eyelash viper.
It's a what? Eyelash viper. Wow. This will give you a little bit better picture of it. And Eli is correct. It is the eyelash viper because he asked for me to do this. Anyhow, you can see his pretty Latin name there, Bothricus schlegeli. The dude that actually discovered this, by the way, that the Latin name schlegeli, the guy that discovered it, his name is Hermann Schlegel. If you can imagine that, he's a German herpetologist. Anyway, they named the whole group after him, which is amazing. But I'm not going to get into that. Anyway, this is how it's referred to as a relatively small animal. It ranges usually from 22 to about 37 inches in length, okay? So that's about the size of it. And it weighs about 10 to 15 pounds. So this is a snake that is that length and weighs that much, and it's a relatively small animal, okay? This comes from Wikipedia, which, as we know, is the bastion of all knowledge. Relatively small animal. So I'm going to ask this question, though, for a relatively small animal. Has anybody ever been in the woods and you walked by and saw a snake? Anybody? I have too. Yeah, I saw one. So when a snake moves in the woods or whatever and crosses your path, it kind of has a serpentine-like look to it, doesn't it? Kind of squiggly around, you know? And if it was me and I saw something that was serpentine-like versus a relatively thing, so if it was a serpentine that crossed my path, I'm looking at it, and this thing is 22 to 37 inches, so that is 2 to 3 feet, and it weighs 10 to 15 pounds, which doesn't seem like a whole lot until it's a snake that weighs 15 pounds and is 3 feet long. Now, they say it's relatively small, but if I'm walking in the woods and I see a 3-foot snake coil up, it's 15 pounds, he's no longer 3 feet, he's 25 feet, all right? I'm worried. Relatively, whatever, Wikipedia. It's not relatively small, but whatever. If anybody want to say that, go for it. Yeah, so where are you going to find eyelash vipers? Well, it's a good thing. They go from the southern tip of Mexico, kind of down south through Central America and off into the northern part of South America. So this will give you a little bit of a better map. So all the ranges there, you can see where it's really focused right there in Central America, and then right up there at the top of Central America in the blue is the southern tip of Mexico, and it goes all the way into South America and then kind of spreads out from there. And there's a reason why I wanted to show you this, because actually this creature, well, no, we can put it right here. So when I wanted to look at Wikipedia, I was looking for this, and there are actually 18 different names for the eyelash viper, 18 names. So if you look on this little part, how do you get 18 names out of that? But I mean, does it go through 18 countries and all of them have different names? I don't know, but 18 names. However, there are no subspecies, okay? The eyelash viper is just the eyelash viper. There are no subspecies, even though there are 18 different names. In Alaska, the Kodiak bear is a subspecies of the brown bear. And I think that's pointless and stupid. And just subspecies is completely, do what? Nah, I think subspecies are a complete evolutionary concept, personally. Anyway, we'll get out of that. All right, so like I said, the eyelash viper, you can kind of see his eyelashes right there above his eyes, obviously. The eyelash vipers are arboreals. Anybody know what that is? Trees, that's exactly what they do. So eyelash vipers are completely arboreal. Trees, yeah, and also like bushes that are like woody plants, small ones that aren't really tall. They live in those too. But they are arboreal. They don't get on the ground. They live in the trees like almost all the time, including births. So there's scales on them. It's kind of a neat thing. So their scales are rough, kind of coarse, and the reason that they're that way is because they climb trees. They live in the trees. So the tree branches, with those scales that grab onto them, they can climb trees a whole lot easier. Now, if you'll see on there, the other part of their scales, you can see the eyelashes. And it's kind of on their eyelids, and it spreads out there. You can see the eyelashes. Now, what I've read about the eyelash scales is basically reading through it, they have no idea why they have them. I'll just go ahead and tell you. Nobody knows. But the basic concept that I think I've come up with is that it helps with camouflage, so it kind of breaks up the outline of the creature, basically is what it is. Plus, it looks cool. Plus, those scales actually continue. Some different animals, all the way down the backbone, the scales will be lifted up, and you can see the kind of a wave all the way down the back of one of some of the eyelash vipers. Pretty neat. Anyway, that's what the scales are for. All right, this is where they like to live in the range. They like to live in areas that are low altitudes, humid, tropical. They like dense forests. Obviously, they're arboreal. They like to live near water. Why would they like to live near water? Do what? What does that have to do with anything? A thicker ecosystem.
You have a lot of water, super small life, and then that grows to a more abundant, prey size flower.
Just because they have small species that grows into big ones? Is that what you're saying?
The more small species you have, the more big species you can have, and more meals you eat,
Why do you have big creatures?
because they eat small.
Correct. That's why, yes. That's just what I want you to say. That's why their areas are near water. It's not like snakes have to drink the water. It's because other prey species go down there near the water and those snakes eat those. That's why they live near water. All right, their head shape. This is one of the things I wanted to throw out there to you. I'm not going to talk about it too much right here, but we're going to get into it a little bit more. Their head shape, it's kind of triangular, kind of looks like a spade, and that's very, very important. I don't know if a lot of you know or not, but most of you should know. If you see a snake in the woods, if you don't kill it, if it has a triangle-shaped head, it's poisonous, or not poisonous, venomous, okay? If you see a snake out there with a triangle-looking head, it's venomous. Just remember that. We'll get into more right here in a minute. And actually, for that head shape, there's where we live right now. This thing is actually a pit viper, is what the head shape for pit vipers. Almost all vipers are that head shape, not all of them. But anyway, there's pit vipers that actually live here in the United States. Did you know that? All right. Does anybody know what the pit vipers are that lives here? Pit vipers are normally venomous, by the way. Any of them? Rattlesnake is a pit viper, yeah, and it lives here. Cottonmouth is a pit viper, lives here. Copperhead is a pit viper, it lives here. Guess what? Yeah. But they all have venom. They're venomous. They most likely will not kill you, but you won't want to get bit. Don't get bit. Anyway, all right. Their coloration is an amazing thing. This is one of the things that stands out about eyelash vipers is their coloration. And it's based on camouflage, but it's very, very unique. I'll give you some pictures right here. And this also helps you see the triangular shaped head. It's a little bit, when you're looking down, you can see that triangle head, how it sticks out more, kind of that triangle thing. Where that's venomous snakes will usually have that triangle thing. The ones that are not venomous are usually more rounded. So it doesn't have that triangle point. It kind of has a rounded look to it. So it's kind of streamlined all the way down. That usually tells you it's a non-venomous versus venomous. There are other ways to tell venomous, like their eyes. If they have eyes that look like a cat where that little slit is there, that's a venomous snake usually. But you don't need to get close enough to actually check its eyes and see, let's make sure if this is venomous. If you see a snake, it's venomous, okay? If you see one, it's venomous. Don't even question it. Just be like, all right, cool. I'll call somebody in to kill that thing. Anyway, what? Oh, I wasn't talking about me. I'll kill it. I'm just saying if somebody else sees one. You. Anyway, this is the coloration of some of the eyelash vipers. So you can see how their coloration scale goes from yellow all the way to like that tan color. Pink, they have pink in there. Olive drab green, silver, but that's not all. It actually continues for the colors. Kind of a dark gray black, all the way to green ochre. It's amazing how the different, and this is not all the colorations. This is just me putting it up there trying to do something cool. But on top of the coloration, they will sometimes we'll have this stripes, and you can kind of see them up there. The stripes are on the back. Some of them are really darkly colored, so the stripes are not that visible. But the reason where that base color is a different coloration is because it has to do with camouflage, and that is the reason for their color is camouflage. So if they're sitting on the ground, or they're not on the ground, in the trees or whatever, but the trees and the flowers and whatever, they're different colors. So these snakes can actually change color to whatever is around them. And they blend into that, whatever it is, that tree or branch or flower or whatever, they blend into it really well. And that's the idea behind the camouflage. And supposedly that's the idea behind the eyelashes too, is they can't really tell the outline. So anyway, the snakes will go and attack something by camouflage. The camouflage helps them to find prey, and it also helps them when something wants to attack them, like a predator or something. So it helps to hide them, so they don't have to deal with that. Anyhow, all right. More about there's a big, pretty picture of its eyelashes. All right. Some of the behaviors for the eyelash viper. They are nocturnal creatures, meaning they are awake at night. And that's where they do all their things. Reproduction for these creatures, which is a little bit different, but not like hugely different. The reproduction is based on a time of year, basically, but their time of year is basically all year. The way that it works is the males, they actually perform this dance of the adders, is what it's called. And it's not just in eyelash vipers, it's also cobras and other snakes too. But the males will get up next to each other and perform this dance of the adders, is what it's called. So they just kind of move back and forth, look at each other, up and down. It's random. But anyway, apparently snakes like that. So the female picks the male that she likes dancing the best. And that's the next mate. All right. So when the female has children, they're actually born alive. So around 2 to 20 of them, they're alive completely. There are no eggs. Snake born live creatures. And the female doesn't really take care of them at all after they're born. They are actually completely independent once they're born. They have venom already. They have fangs already. They can crawl around like snakes do. Anyway, the independence for those things is amazing. 2 days old and they can kill something and eat it. So anyway, all right, eyelash vipers. Continuing on, yep, all right, I'll go into that. They are carnivorous. They are ambush predators. We've talked about ambush predators before. That means they'll sit and wait until something walks by and then they strike it. That's basically what they do. And they are carnivorous, meaning they eat meat. Their diet, what they do eat, it consists of basically smaller birds, frogs, lizards, amphibians, reptiles, small mammals too, like rats or birds, rats, mice, something small. They'll eat that. Do they eat humans? We'll get into that in here a second. All right, so that is their diet. And their main tactic is basically they hide where they are, and they are ambush predators. So they're hiding with all that camouflage, nothing can really see them. And as that one thing walks by or randomly wanders by, they can strike it like lightning fast with that strike, and it has venom in there because it is a fit viper. So as soon as that thing gets hit, it's not going to take it long to die. And then it'll eat it. That's their main tactic. They have more than one tactic for hunting. Like there, you can see his tail is actually kind of holding on. The end of his tail, he actually uses it kind of like a worm. And frogs will try and eat it. And then when they try to eat his tail, he just eats the frog. And his tail's okay. I don't know if he can grow into it or not, but anyhow, that's what he does for that frog thing. Main tactic, though, is ambush predator. That's what they try to do. All right, yes, he is a pit viper. That's what I was trying to explain to you. Does anybody know what that actually means to be a pit viper? And I did explain other ones. Huh? It is thermal vision, correct. So the pit vipers, almost every pit viper will have a pit. If they're a pit viper, they have a pit. The way the pit works is between their eye and between their nostril, there'll be a little pit there. And snakes don't have like great vision. They have binocular vision, but it's not like really good vision. However, if it's completely dark, those pits are used as heat vision. That's exactly what they are, as heat lamps. So if it's completely dark in a room, the snake can still see whatever its prey is moving if it has heat to it. So if it's a mouse or something like that, or a bird, it sees it completely with that heat vision from its pits, which is exactly how copperheads and cottonmouths and rattlesnakes, they all work together like the same kind of design, is that they can see heat. The good thing about rattlesnakes is they rattle most of the time and let you know. If you hear a rattlesnake rattling, don't go up there, just check and make sure it's a rattlesnake. Go the other way. Anyhow, all right, so that's what the pit's for. They are there for heat. What am I thinking of? Heat vision. All right. The venom on these things, they have obviously fangs. You kind of see his mouth right there. Fangs are kind of neat for pit vipers, if you don't know how the fangs work. So you can kind of see how he's extended his fangs out and he's going to bite something. Normally, when the snake closes its mouth or something, the fangs will actually move. They move back. So the fangs move inside its mouth and then it can close its mouth. That's basically what that thing's doing right there. It's showing you, hey, when it opens its mouth, the fangs can go out. Now, on top of that, when the fangs actually bite you, that's not where the venom is coming from, not the fangs, okay? Inside the fangs, there's this thing, it's kind of like a hypodermic needle, kind of like a needle. And what it does, when that fangs hit you, then it injects through those needles the venom right into where it has bitten, and so it can inject the venom. That's what it does. Venom. Does anybody know the difference in venomous and poisonous? You know those are two different things, right? Okay, those are two different things, by the way. Do you know the difference in the two?
Venom is injected and poison has to be ingested.
That's exactly correct. Venom is injected. So when something bites you, it injects venom. That is venomous. Poison would be like a poison dart frog. There we go. Poison dart frog, that's what it's called. But if you were to touch the skin on it, or if you were to, don't do this, if you were to eat it, you would be poisoned. Poison animals, don't eat poison animals and don't touch them. Don't get bit by a snake. Brightly colored, avoid brightly colored things, yes. Very good. All right, this is their venom. It's not really, it is this, I said that wrong. It is a hemotoxin. Basically what it is it's a hemotoxin cocktail though. It's not just one, it's like 4 to 5 different ones in their venom. And the way the hemotoxins work is it gives coagulopathy. That means the blood does not clot, is basically what it does. You're just going to bleed out. That's basically what coagulation is. And on top of that, we'll do human interaction here in a second. It does, it can't, the blood does not clot because of that coagulopathy, but that's not the only thing that it does. It also does necropsy, or it kills the skin and muscles that are around it, makes it dead, basically, is what it does. That's what necrosis is the hemotoxin that they injects into you both keeps your blood from clotting and it also kills everything around there. So it's a necrotic and it is a hemotoxin. Anyhow, so eyelash vipers have that cocktail of venom in there. So knowing that, how much human interaction do you think there is from eyelash vipers biting people? How often do people get bit by eyelash vipers? I don't know. They're 2 to 3 feet long. Yeah. Actually, eyelash vipers never hunt people. Of course, they're not going to eat them, but they don't hunt them. They don't try and bite them. The only reason that people get bit, and they do get bit often, the eyelash vipers is one of the most common snakes in all of Central America. They get bit often. But the reason that they get bit It's because they go in there and poke on it, mess with it, pick it up, carry it around, and they get bit because the thing's trying to defend itself. It's like, whoa, why are you trying to messing with me? And that's why people get bit, because they want to, oh, look how pretty the colors are. Grab a snake. Yeah. They deserve what they get. Most of the snake bites that you'll get from eyelash viper are non-fatal. So that's good, pretty good. All right. And then, yeah, we're doing good. All right, so this is the skeleton of one of the eyelash vipers, you know. And I went on Wikipedia and I was like, oh, well, Wikipedia knows everything. And it popped this up. And I was like, okay. And I read about it. And I'll give you the quote here. So I'm going to put down the exact quote from Wikipedia when they were discussing the skeleton right there. This is the skeleton of an eyelash viper. This is what they said. The skeleton consists of, here's the quote, primarily the skull, the vertebrae, and the ribs, with only vestigial remnants of the limbs. All right, cool. That's a pretty good description, isn't it? The only problem is the skull's kind of missing, so, you know, big deal. But I know where the skull would be. Vertebrae, yeah, I can kind of see the vertebrae. It goes all the way down. It's a snake. Ribs, snakes have thousands of ribs. Versus vestigial remnants of the limbs. Okay. Where is that at? Does anybody see it? I looked at it for a little while and I was like, oh, well, where's that at? You're not going to see it. So if you do see it, show me. You won't find it. So why did they put that vestigial remnants of the limbs? There's only one reason they put that there. Fully indoctrination. That is the only reason. They put that up there. There are no vestigial remnants. There are no vestigial organs. Appendix. Somebody just got the appendix there. They talked about it being a vestigial. No, it's not. She would have died, wouldn't she? Doesn't sound vestigial to me. That sounds like it's a pretty big deal. There are no vestigial. And when it says vestigial remnants of the limbs, are you saying that snakes used to walk around? Do you have any proof of that? No. They don't. There is no proof of any of it. And that keeps on going to evolution. There is no proof of anything evolutionary. Okay? Yeah, well, anyway, I'll get into that right here in a second. All these systems necessary together, like the snake. You saw the ribs and all that. Did it have to have all those ribs and all the skull? Yes, it had to have it all together at the same time. Could that snake have eaten a bird? Could that snake have had live births, not eggs? What if it didn't have live births? What if it had eggs and they died? How would it pass on that information? How could it pass on all that information unless all those systems are there together at the same time? They cannot have developed over time, so that means there's only one alternative, and that is special creation or design. That is exactly right for the eyelash viper. It doesn't matter what creature it is. God is always in control. It doesn't matter what we think he does. He creates everything. That includes eyelash vipers, which is pretty neat. There you go. There's your eyelash viper. All right, we're going to move on, though. So I want to do one more thing before I run out of time. This one here is what I wanted to throw out there for everybody. Just because, you know, more often than not, if you're in a public school system or you have a child that's in the public school system, this is what they will get. And some private schools too, by the way. This is what they're going to get. Right up here, this shows the entire evolutionary train going from molecules to monkeys to man. That is their concept. Okay. That's fine if they want to say that. I disagree, but I'll explain to you why I disagree right here in a minute. This is supposed to give you all kinds of ammunition for when somebody says, I've saw the evolutionary picture. Oh, did you? Let's talk about this then. I'll give you some ammunition. What about the very first cell that ever listed? You know, evolution will tell you these things evolved from this creature, and look how amazing it is. What they don't tell you, and they really don't want to tell you, is how all of it actually started. So I had to start with the first cell. That's amazing because that's what evolution teaches. The first cell had to be alive, and then it had to grow into everything that we see today, from molecules all the way to monkeys, all the way to man. There we are. The question I would ask would be, okay, the first cell, and scientifically speaking, all right, I'll go into that too. If anyone ever says to you that the science is settled, that person is not a doctor or a scientist, they are a politician, and they're lying to you. The science is never settled. Never. Anyway, the first cell. So, as impossible as this is, the Earth apparently about 4 billion to 1 billion or something around there started to cool off apparently. And then it started to rain, and then the lightning strikes, and when the lightning strikes, it creates this first cell, which is created from the Earth cooling, which is basically saying that that cell was created from a rock. I'm not kidding. It struck rocks, and then it had to create the first cell that was alive, from non-living creature, stone, to a living first cell. Okay. Evolution teaches you a fairy tale, by the way. They just leave out this first part. They teach you that a frog turns into a princess. I'm not kidding. They leave out the fact that the stone turned into the frog, turned into the princess. They leave that part out. How cute. Anyway, first cell. If it was, we've already proved this cannot scientifically happen by pasteurization. I don't know if anybody's heard of pasteurization or not. You should have, because you see it on your milk. Anyway, anything that was live got killed, but it had all the components there to create new life. Guess what? No new life was created. That means that first cells scientifically cannot be brought from non-living material. We know that scientifically. However, we'll say that it happened, okay? Let's just say that somehow, as impossible as it is, that there is a first cell created. Okay, well, I'll go with it, first cell. If we had a first cell created, what did it eat? Well, if it ate rocks, how would it advance? It has to eat something organic, something like that. So the lightning had to strike and make a first cell. The lightning also had to strike again and make a plant or something that first cell could eat. Okay? It had to do that. How far do cells move? They're measured in they're not measured in miles or feet or inches, micrometers. Very, very small. You can't even see it. It's microscopic. Anyway, wherever that food was apparently made had to be made within micrometers of the first cell so it could actually move to whatever that food is and then eat it. And when it ate that first food had to be able to be used by that first cell. It had to have all the equipment there, had to have it all. And after it ate it, it had to have the equipment to actually eat it. And then after it ate it, it had to have the equipment to break it down. It had to have a digestive system, and after it used all the stuff in there, it had to use all that stuff, make it into energy that it could actually use by the first cell. It had to have an excretory system to get rid of all the stuff it didn't need. Stop. Anyway, you can see that there's no way to actually combine first cell with food in that way. In an evolutionary way, it doesn't make any sense. He has to live, because if he doesn't survive from eating food, they can't pass on. And not only did it have to strive to make one piece of food, it had to make billions of them because it had to keep eating, Yeah, good question. If you figure out an answer to that, let me know. I'm 8. I don't know. I wasn't there either. None of them were there either. But they're going to tell you, evolution is a fact. Yeah. Yeah, I'll just give you a couple things right here. I'm not going to go into all of it, even though I could. Mate. So the first cell apparently got created of impossibility, and it ate some kind of food that was impossibly made. So 2 impossibilities right there. If the first cell had to be able to reproduce, because we're all here, so apparently it had to reproduce, right? But if it did, most cells, not most cells, but a lot of cells in the very beginning of being a cell would reproduce in a way that's called asexual reproduction or cloning. Basically, he makes a clone of himself. The first cell could not have had that because he wouldn't advance, he wouldn't evolve. So he had to have the introduction of new DNA, and that would take a mate. So the mate that first cell has to find within micrometers also has to be willing to accept that first mate or that first cell. Be like, oh, okay, cool. Yeah, that sounds good to me. Let's go ahead and mate. They had to have all the equipment there, ready to use. And then after all that has come to a point, come to fair or whatever, there's a child born or an offspring born or whatever it is. From that offspring, it had to eat some of that food that was supposedly made by millions of years. I don't know. But that offspring, in order for it to actually evolve and reproduce more, it would have to have a mate, would it not? How else would it increase? What's it going to use for mate? Well, we got Cain and Abel, so they had to marry a sister. That's okay. 4 cells, there was no corruption. So I guess the first cell, the offspring, had to mate with a sister or a brother, depending on if the offspring was a boy or girl. I don't know. But it also had to eat all this stuff. So you can go all the way back up, mate, food, all the way back up to offspring, and it's like, you're telling me that the first cell was impossibly made, had to eat impossibly made food, had to mate with an impossibly made mate, and then had to, after it made it, had an impossibly made offspring. Everything up there that I've showed you is impossible. It cannot happen. It's not like me throwing something out there that you don't understand. This is common sense. What's it going to eat? Where's it going to go? What's it going to do? Pointless. Anyway, we're out of time, so I keep going farther, but I won't. Yeah, we'll stop with that one. I did have some more. No. Anyway, all right. So that's as far as we're going to get today. I do want to throw out there for you. I'm not going to be here next week or the week after because we're going to do some ski thing or whatever we're going to do. So anyway, somebody will be in here to take care of it. And then what I'm really planning on doing is like when we get back a couple weeks from now, I want to start a new series for y'all. And, you know, I enjoy creation, but I want to start a new series. And I just want to see what y'all think. The series was going to be, why do we use the King James? Okay, so that sounds good? All right, cool. So it'll be a couple weeks from now, but we'll get into that. Anyway, I think we have choir practice. I don't know. Anyway.